I just love watching the cells start to bloom. Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my art channel. Thank you so much for being here and happy Valentine's Day. Today I'm going to do a really fun experiment, and I'll tell you what, this is something that I have had in my mind to try for probably a whole year. I'm going to be doing a chameleon cell heart on a solid black background. And if you've ever done chameleon cells, you might wonder, hang on Anna, how are you going to get black all the way around the edge? Because usually you swipe and it ends up as kind of a gradient. I'm going to be using an airbrush to make a solid black background. So, very excited. Let's make a painting. So I have a 12 by 12 inch deep canvas here, and it's already black because I did another pour on it a few months ago and it did not turn out very well, so I scraped it before it dried, but it already has the edges painted black and the top is kind of black, so I thought I'll use it for this. And I think I'm going to be doing it in this diagonal orientation instead of straight, so I'm excited to try that. I've got a whole bunch of colors. Some of these were leftover paints that I'm using up, and some of them I just mixed to go along. So here's what they are. First of all, I have some white. That is Sargent and Apple Barrel. All of my paints are mixed with US floetrol. It's about 1 part paint to 2 parts floetrol, depending on the brand and consistency of paint. Then this is some sort of a magenta. I don't know if it's light magenta from Apple Barrel, or if it's something from Blick, but it's a nice sort of bright pink color. And then this is Rouge. This is from Master's Touch. And this is mixed about medium. I have my own kind of grading system for how thick paints are, where thick is like bloom pours and thin is Dutch pours. So this is like medium. This is a nice kind of flip cup ring pour consistency. So that's Rouge. And then I have Pearlessence from Creative Inspiration, so that's a lovely metallic white. And then I have metallic magenta from Blick Studio Acrylics, so I'll show you the consistency here since it's a shallower cup. So it flows very well, leaves a little mound. It's not too thin, but it's not really, really thick. Then I have Gray Purple from Master's Touch. Love this color. So the next one is this creamy pink, which might be Liquitex Basics Light Portrait Pink, or it might be sort of a custom mix that I did to kind of imitate that color, but it's this lovely sort of creamy pale pink. And then this one is a mica pigment. This is Grape. It's from Resin. It's got this beautiful purple shimmer to it. So it looks sort of grayish blue right now, but when it's dry and the light hits it, it's a color shifting powder, it shines purple, so it's really pretty. And this one I mixed with Liquitex Basics Gloss Gel and then floetrol, and you can see how I mixed that in this video here. Okay, and then I also have black. I believe this is Apple Barrel Black, and I will be swiping that, because even though I've got the airbrush, if my swipe and my edges are already black, that's less for me to need to cover with the airbrush. All right, with chameleon cells, you can lay down your colors in a lot of different ways. I really like sort of having a diagonal swipe. I feel like it adds a lot of just interest to the piece when it's not straight lines coming up and down. So since my design is going to be in a diagonal, I'm going to put my stripes of color evenly, swipe it flat, and then put the chameleon cells this direction. Does that make sense? Okay, let me just take a minute and figure out what order I want to lay them in, because clearly I have a lot of colors and I want plenty of contrast in between each layer. Yeah, maybe I won't overthink it. Maybe I'll just do it. All right, let me see if I can pour. I want pretty thin layers. And it doesn't need to go quite all the way to the edge, but it should go pretty close. These cups don't pinch, so I'll put them on with the stick. Let's do some Pearlessence next. Okay, that's all 8 of my colors. I actually really like this sort of gradient. There's lots of contrast in between, so I'm just going to keep repeating that pattern. Should be about 2 more times to fill the canvas. That is a nice, I really like that blend of colors. I think it'll create a beautiful layered design when all the cells pop up. Okay, so black then is going to go around the edges and over the edges. All right, we got black all around, looks great. I am going to torch this because since I want a really clean black background, I don't want lots of natural air bubble cells forming, so I'd like to get as many of the air bubbles out before I swipe as possible. I'm going to be swiping. This is a laminator sheet. It's just, you know, a page that you would use to laminate a paper, but it's just by itself. And I'm going to be swiping this way. So you touch it not quite at the edge, just inside the edge, and then slowly draw it across. And I should have laid out a paper towel to catch it right away, but I didn't. Wow, that's pretty. That black traveled really well, actually. I almost could have done this without the airbrush, but as you can see, it's not a perfect black layer. All right, wipe it off right away. Okay, we'll set that aside. So this is a beautiful swipe. Love it. Beautiful gradient. Before I move on into the next step, let me just explain what I'm going to do. So my airbrush, I have some black airbrush paint. You have to use airbrush paint, or it's really best with airbrush paint. And I'm going to use that to create a nice uniform black coating. Then I'm going to be using Spot On treadmill silicone. I'm going to put some of that into just an old plastic lid. You just need a couple of drops, really. And then I'll be using a toothpick to dip it into the silicone and create cells. So I'll just put that there so it's ready. But first it's airbrush time. So this airbrush, I bought it actually as a Black Friday deal, and it's this, hang on a second. This is the brand, Beauty. I don't know how you say it. And I don't know that I'd recommend it because I think on my very first test use, the actual trigger stopped functioning. This still works for what I need it to because I just use the button that turns it on and turns it off, and that's all I need it for. But that's why I'm not recommending a specific product, because this isn't working very well. But I think it's going to work for me today. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this on and make a nice... Actually, let me torch one more time. All right, let's turn it on. Okay, cool. So it's not completely solid black, but it's pretty close. Great. And I did not cover up quite all of the speckles. If they're bothering me when the painting is dry, I will just touch them up with a brush. But for the most part, we have this nice solid background. All right, chameleon cell time. I love chameleon cells. It takes a little bit of time to add them all in, but the effect is just dazzling. Just have a paper towel if I need to wipe off my toothpick at all. All right, let's start. So I'm just dipping it in the silicone. Let's see. Yeah, let's start here. I just love watching the cells start to bloom. Okay, half the heart. I think I really like that shape of it, so I'm going to try to mirror that on the other side. Well, my shape is not perfectly symmetrical, which bugs me a little bit. I'm going to extend this side just a little bit. Is that what I want to do? Do I really want to do that? It's now or never. Make the decision. Yes, I'm gonna extend it just a little bit. See, if you wait too long before you add another row, sometimes the cells, they don't all stretch out in an even fashion, so you kind of have to get your outside edge first, and then you can start adding. So now I'm going to start adding, just spiraling inwards, layer after layer, until it's all finished. This is really pretty. Okay, I'm going to keep going all the way in, but right now basically I have two rows of dots and it's looking great. The thing with chameleon cells is that they grow quite slowly. So you make it and you're like, oh, that's small, that's so cute. It's going to keep growing for a while. So make sure that you don't fill it up too much, because sometimes the cells will grow and mess up what you had. This is looking amazing though. So now I'm at the place where I'm like, do I want to continue it down until it's essentially like a V in the middle? Or do I turn it into kind of circle shapes and a little diamond? I kind of like that idea. Oh guys, I'm so happy with this. Obviously I don't love the wiggle in this side, but the gradient, the sort of diagonal gradient that's forming with the purples and the magentas and all of that, I am loving this so much. I love that beautiful whimsical wash of the purples and the pinks. Beautiful multicolored cells in there. I'm trying to figure out if I want to add any other little elements on the side, you know, little strings of cells. I don't know. I suppose I could always do it and then paint over it if I don't like the way it looks. So maybe I will, because it's beautiful and I love it all black, but you know me, I like to fill in the empty space. Let's just do a little. Little squiggly over there. Let's do another one over here. I don't know if I'm wild about this, but it does look kind of like streamers and confetti coming down, so let me just add a couple plain ones, and we'll call it quits. Okay, this is really cool. I love it a lot. Let me clean my airbrush, and then I will give you a close-up. Okay, how cool is this? Look at all those cells. Just perfectly placed. Oh, look at those layers. The layers come because as you swipe one color of paint over top of another, it creates those multicolored cells when you poke it down into the bottom. So that's why I lay down my paint the way I do. Now, the background. I don't know if you like it. I'm probably going to get a lot of comments going, Anna, why did you mess up the background? It was so perfect when it was just the heart and the black. And you know what? It's possible that when this is dry, I will go ahead and clean it and just paint black over all of those little confetti bits. I don't know. I just wanted to see if I could make something that filled the space well, so we'll see how that goes. I will show you how this looks when it is dry, so let's go to that next. Okay, here we go. It is all dry, looking beautiful. The cells all stayed pretty good. They didn't open up crazily, which is always nice. So you will notice a couple of areas that look kind of darker. That's where the extra silicone was. So I did a quick just soap and water cleaning of this so that there weren't oil slicks all over the surface for showing you this close-up. Definitely if you're doing chameleon cells, you need to clean the painting thoroughly before you varnish it. So you can click this video link that's popping up, which will take you to me showing you how I clean my paintings with cornstarch. But yeah, it's pretty. So you can kind of see some of those metallics right now. Since the painting is dry and since I used floetrol, it has more of a matte finish, but once I varnish, the varnish will really enhance the metallics and make those pop. So it'll look even shinier and even more cool when it is varnished. Now let me show you, I also made a version on a white background. So on this little hexagon, I really like it by itself with just the clean background. And I just think this one turned out really pretty. Those cells are nice. Now you will see there's a lot of this kind of particulate edges. I think that's because the airbrush paint, it just doesn't hold together in as smooth of a layer. So there's a lot more of it. I think it's cool here because it looks kind of icy and snowy. So it works really well here. There is a lot less of that on the black one. There is some towards the edge where I had to airbrush it more. There's more of that, whereas on this side, where I didn't do it as much, the edges are much cleaner. So just bear that in mind if you're going to try this. A darker color like black, swiping with that first, you need a lot less airbrush paint to cover up the swipe, which means you're going to get better looking cells. Okay, so that's the two of them together. I think they both turned out really cool. Now for this one, there's those sort of confetti bits on the edge. I still am undecided on what I want to do about that. So I made two digital mock-ups to show my options. So the first one is just painting black, covering up all of that so I have a nice clean black background. And then the other option is keeping those little strings of confetti and using a brush to add a few more to fill in the spots where there wasn't enough of the colored paint to actually produce the chameleon cells up there on the top right-hand side. So let me know down in the comments, which one do you think I should do? Thanks so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope it inspired you to try something new. Be creative with your painting. Think outside the box. Like I said, this is an idea that I've had in my mind for almost a year, and it was really fun to see it come to life. If you haven't seen my other chameleon cell painting videos, there are several of them over on my channel. But I will see you next Monday for another fun acrylic pouring video. Bye!